Yes, my people. Once again, it's Rockstar 860 TV. And today we are talking about Habeas Corpus. Once again, it has to do with the Vybz Kartel saga case. Freedom Street. You know what I mean? And that we are say pray. So, we here yesterday. Isaac Buchanan, Vybz Kartel lawyer, filed paperwork for Habeas Corpus, and the whole internet has been buzzing around this word Habeas Corpus. And what does it mean? What does it entail? And what does it mean for Vybz Kartel and his co-defendants, co-accused? Know what I mean? But first, you don't know me love to talk about the herbs. Nothing really major today, but you know what I mean? Go and blaze the herbs. We are getting at the case, you know what I mean? Or what we are talking about today. So Habeas Corpus, this is from Wikipedia. Know what I mean? Habeas Corpus or Habeas Corpus from medieval Latin that you have the body is a recourse in law by which a report can be made to a court in the events of unlawful detention or imprisonment, requesting that the court order the person's custodian, usually a prison official, to bring the prisoner to court to determine whether their detention is lawful or unlawful. Know what I mean? And as we know, Vybz Kartel and his co-defendants, co-accused, has been in prison for 13 years now. Know what I mean? Their convictions were thrown out by the Privy Council. That means their charges were also thrown out once the convictions were thrown out. Know what I mean? So seeing that the convictions were thrown out, these men have been in prison now without a charge or without a conviction for the last 60 days. Because the ruling from the Privy Council came down March 14th. And today, as I'm doing this, is May 14th. Know what I mean? So that's 60 days exact, or 62 days, depending on if a month was 31 or 30 days. Know what I mean? But let's continue. The writ of habeas corpus was described in the 18th century by William Blackstone as a great and efficacious, I can't really say the word, writ in all manner of illegal confinement. It is a summons with the force of a court order. It is addressed to the custodian, a prison official, for example, and demands that a prisoner be brought before the court and that the custodian present proof of authority, allowing the court to determine whether the custodian has lawful authority to detain the prisoner. If the custodian is acting beyond their authority, then the prisoner must be released. So in this case, the custodian would be the DPP, the justice system, the prison system. So Isaac is really making this case towards them because they're the ones who are holding Vybz Kartel and the co-accused Sean Storm, Andre St. John. Kerry Jones have another issue, so he's not involved in this at this time. So any prisoner or another person acting on their behalf may petition the court or a judge for a writ of habeas corpus. So at this time, ISAT is representing Vybz Kartel and the co-accused. So he is the one petitioning the court for their release through habeas corpus. Now I mean, he is the one that's acting on their behalf. So he's the one that's petitioning the court for this habeas corpus. One reason for the writ to be sought by a person other than the prisoner is that the detainee might be held incommunicado, meaning the prisoners don't have no communication with the outside. And in this case, I doubt Vybz Kartel and his co-accused have any communication to be able to access court or the court documents to file the proper paperwork. So their attorney or somebody of legal stature in charge of their case or in charge of their motions are the ones to file the petitions. So in this case, it's Isaac and the other lawyers um for the detainees. Know what I mean? If you don't overstand, it's simple. Them a old Vybz Kartel, Isaac a run petition to try free them. Know what I mean? Simple, layman term. Let's continue. Most civil law jurisdictions provide a similar remedy for those unlawfully detained. But this is not always called habeas corpus. For example, in some Spanish speaking nations, the equivalent remedy for unlawful imprisonment is the amparo de libertad, protection of freedom. So many places have it, but it's not always called the same things. I just wording. Know what I mean? But if you look up on Wikipedia, it shows you many countries. When we get further down, I'll read out some of the countries who use habeas corpus. So it's not a one-off. The whole judicial system practically uses habeas corpus. And that's across the world. And not just Jamaica or England, America. It's worldwide used tactic or principle of law for the detained. Know what I mean? Habeas corpus has certain limitations. The petitioner must present a prima facie case that a person has been unlawfully restrained. Know what I mean? And if you understand what that is saying right there, Isaac can't just go walk in a court and say, I want the habeas corpus. No, it no works so. He has to present a case. He have to give proper reasoning. He must have to show properly and, how should I say this, efficiently, and he has to articulate why these men should be freed or let go on an habeas corpus. And I don't believe that it's to say that if they come out on an habeas corpus that the June 10th hearing will be stopped. No, I just think this is just to have them free to go to court, to have their day in court. You don't have to be behind bars to have your day in court. You can be on the road. They've been in jail 13 years. They're no longer convicted. There's no longer any charges from 2011 to March 14th of 2024. That whole process is thrown out. If you want to retry them now, they're going to the hearing on June 10th, where they will argue in front of the Jamaica Court of Appeals to say whether a case should be retried or completely thrown out. So when people are up in arms about habeas corpus, it's just to free these men because they're languishing behind a prison wall and they're innocent men according to the law. You're innocent until proven guilty, and if the fake conviction was thrown out by the Privy Council, they are no longer convicted, so they are no longer charged with any offense. It's simple. It's not hard to understand. It's simple mathematics. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. And so forth and so on. You know what I mean? But people have it up in arms that if the habeas corpus goes through, they'll be freed, and it's just that. No, it doesn't stop the hearing on June 10th. This just gives them the opportunity to walk into court. You know what I mean? That's it. That's all. And when they say to have the body, it's not to say have an unliving person body. No, it's to have the living person who you have sitting in prison, to walk that person in front of the court and present whatever you have against them so they know and everybody knows, and they go from there. The greatest habeas corpus that I know of was when Pontius Pilate called for Jesus to be brought in front of him so Jesus could know what he was being charged for, because they held Jesus without charges Jesus was the man that they killed and he didn't have a charge. Know what I mean? What was his charge? Because he said he was the son of God. That's a charge to kill someone for. But yeah, Habeas Corpus. Know what I mean? It's nothing to go up in arms about. It's a two-way street. I that have to prove I show why these men should be let go, and the DPP has to show why she or they believe they should be held on to. Know what I mean? That's a court go. One side is one side, the next side is the next side. It's not the one-way street on the courtroom. It's a two-way street. Both sides. But people are so up in arms. Anything they say about cartel, people just go crazy, man. I don't know why. Yeah. But like I said, let's continue. As a procedural remedy, it applies when detention results from neglect of legal process, but not when the lawfulness of the process itself is in question. In some countries, the writ has been temporarily or permanently suspended on the basis of a war or a state of emergency. For example, with the Habeas Corpus Suspension Act 1794 in Britain and the Habeas Corpus Suspension Act 1863 in the United States. The right to petition for a writ of habeas corpus has nonetheless long been celebrated as the most efficient safeguard of the liberty of the subject, which is the prisoner or the detainee. The English jurist Albert Van Dicey wrote that the British Habeas Corpus Acts declare no principle and define no rights, but they are for practical purposes. Yes, let me read that again. The English jurist Albert Van Dicey wrote that the British Habeas Corpus Acts declare no principle and define no rights, but they are for practical purposes, worth 100 constitutional articles guaranteeing individual liberty. The writ of habeas corpus is one of what are called the extraordinary, common law, or prerogative writs, which was historically issued by the English courts in the name of the monarch to control inferior courts and public authorities within the kingdom. You know what I mean? Meaning say, them have to oversee those in their constituencies who want to take advantage of the less fortunate. You know what I mean? They're citizens. They would have just take the citizens back in the day and just throw them in a prison, and the prisoner them just languish without a charge or reason or rhyme. Them just dead. You know what I mean? The due process for which petitions is not simply civil or criminal because they incorporate the presumption of non-authority. The official who is the respondent must prove their authority to do or not do something. Failing this, the court must decide for the petitioner, who may be any person, not just an interested party. This differs from a motion in a civil process in which the movant must have standing and bears the burden of proof. Know what I mean? So, who is the respondent? Know what I mean? Basically, it has said if the justice or court system don't have legal or standing rights to be holding on to Vybz Kartel and is co-accused, they must be freed. Know what I mean? And the court must decide in which way to go, which street for drive down, because it's not a one-way street. Which side of the road for drive, upon the left or upon the right. But it's up to the court to decide that matter. But Isaac has done nothing wrong in filing for habeas corpus. Isaac did not go behind anybody back. He did not do anything illegal or unprofessional or sneaky. He did what he is supposed to do as a human right, constitutional, you know what I mean, justice attorney who's finding or trying to find the best way for his client to be freed from prison, being an innocent, unconvicted, non-charged person. How would you feel if them hold on upon you for 13 years, have you languishing for 13 years? You know what I mean? For something they said you did, but they did not prove it in any way, shape, or form legally. But they're holding on to you when your case was thrown out. But anyway, like, comment, share, subscribe. One up, got up. You know what I mean? Hit up the comments. Bless. Out.